And here we are again. It is the second weekend of the month. Usually it's the second Friday of every month. The Asset Club meetings happen. This is the second Friday. We had a Johnson Space Center Club meeting that we went to last night, so we're doing ours tonight, which was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that. But it is indeed the second weekend of the month, so it is time for the Asset November meeting. That is the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. We are a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Beaumont, Texas. We're a group of amateur astronomers, and we meet once a month, normally in person, but y'all know how 2020's been. So we're doing the best we can, and I'd say we're doing pretty good. We're still meeting. We're still having our time of astronomy fellowship, and I've got some of my good friends here who I absolutely adore observing with. And we're going to talk about astronomy and have a good evening. And first up on my screen is Mr. Bram Wiseman. There he is right there.
Hello, everybody.
Amateur astronomer is one of his handles now that he's actually running under. So y'all be sure to, I think you're on Twitter now, Bram, right? With that?
I think I am, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Or somebody is anyway. Somebody registered that. It may or may not have not been Joe that registered your name before you did, but
probably tweet something.
You should definitely tweet. But Bram is a good friend of ours from the Houston Astronomical Society. You can see his pin there, which is a super awesome little pin that I got one of in El Dorado. And but cool, man. And Bram, actually, his first time at the El Dorado Star Party was this last one. So he's going to get to tell us what it was like for a first-time experience from the El Dorado Star Party. And also on the road here, we have Mr. Joe Calif. You can see he is not in his normal house studio. You know, he's right. Oh, he's on the highway, it looks like. How you doing, Joe?
Doing well, guys. How's everybody doing there?
We're doing good, man. So so your story is you are actually on a road trip to purchase some new optics, hopefully, maybe, huh? I think we lost him.
I don't know, man.
Oh, there he is.
Miles. Uh-oh. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah, we got you now, Joe.
100 miles west. Okay. I was going to say, I'm about 100 miles west of Tucson, Arizona. So I'm in the desert right now. And I don't know if you can see behind me, the sun is setting. A beautiful evening out here. And yeah, I'm on my way to San Diego to buy some new optics, hopefully getting a new telescope.
That's awesome, man. Well, we wish you good luck. We wish you safe travels and stuff. And like I was telling you beforehand, it's kind of like you're vlogging live with us.
Yeah,
you're on your way.
Interesting. Sorry, yeah, a little bit of lag. Yeah, an interesting journey. So far, I've logged about 1,150 miles or so.
Wow.
So the things we do for telescopes, right?
Yeah. Well, and the scope you're going for is going to be a beautiful thing as long as everything checks out, man. So I'm hoping the checkout goes well, and hopefully you can strike a deal and come home with a brand new to you at least, massive Dobsonian. You can join the 2-meter club, or the half-meter club.
The half-meter. I wish I was joining the 2-meter club. I'll take a half-meter at this point. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. It's a 25-inch Obsession f4. So everything looked good, at least online. So we'll see what it looks like in person.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you're somewhere near Tucson, Arizona. You got about another 8-9 hours or so before you get to where you're going.
I think 4.5 hours. I'm heading down to San Diego, Poway, actually, just outside of San Diego, and showing right now. Waze is showing about 4.5 hours. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll be hanging out with us as we go along this evening, but it's great to have you with us, Joe. Thanks for checking in for sure.
Absolutely.
You're our field reporter right now out in the desert. How are the skies? Are they even clear out there, or what's going on?
You know, it's really nice. Like I said, I don't know if you can see right now. The sun is setting over the mountains there.
I can see Jupiter, I think.
Yeah,
see Jupiter up there, and Saturn will be right next to it. So
I see Saturn now as well.
Yeah, absolutely clear, beautiful skies. So this is on the front camera of an iPhone. So
look at that.
You don't imagine what it's like right now.
That's
awesome. And hey, we got to see some objects tonight. We saw Jupiter.
There you go.
Nothing else. So there we go. It's good to have you, Joe, as always. And last but not least, Mr. Howard Miner is with us this evening, all the way from Houston, Texas. So we're all spread out across the the map as far as the U.S. goes. But Howard, it's great to have you again, man.
Yeah, actually, from near Lake Conroe, where we're living now, and I do the club newsletter, and I have an opportunity to participate a little bit in this. And here comes my wife.
It's Jane.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hey, Jane.
So anyway, Joe, you're out passing Scottsdale. Our son lives in Scottsdale, and
Oh, wonderful.
so you're in his country right now.
That's right. Glad to be here too. It's a beautiful place.
Right.
It is. In the winter.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're gonna go ahead and get into some of this stuff. We have quite a few things to cover, so we'll kind of mosey on through some of this stuff. And there's Adam Corville. Hey, Jane, he says, and he says, hey, Howard. So lots of people hanging out in the chat. If y'all do have questions or comments, of course, you can throw them down in the chat as we go tonight, and we'd be happy to answer them or get to them as we go. And hopefully we see them. Usually the software does a pretty good job of keeping us up to date on what's going on. So we'll start the November meeting, which starts off with a picture I took of Joe, our buddy Joe, right here on his Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, checking out Orion at the El Dorado Star Party. And probably not coming through, but there's a little meteor in the background, which is pretty cool. And what I wanted to talk about right at the beginning, guys, is something that y'all should at least break out the binoculars and try to go check out pretty soon, because this thing is zipping on by. This is Comet C 2020 M3 Atlas. Now, I didn't get to hear about much of this comet beforehand, so I have no idea where it came from. I mean, it came from south of Orion somewhere, and it's just been rocketing through Orion. And it's right now, tomorrow, I think, is when this picture here that I put up is for. Tomorrow, it will be right there near, what is that, Bellatrix, I think? Yeah.
Bellatrix.
The star Bellatrix in Orion, which is right here. And it is moving this direction. So toward the head of Orion. I think it'll be somewhere up here in the next week or so. But just a few days ago, it was down here, maybe about a week ago. And it's traveled that far in that amount of time. And it's a dimmer comet. I don't want to get your hopes up if you're a beginning amateur astronomer or, you're a beginner, whatever. If you just have a pair of binoculars, you may have trouble with this one. But it is definitely going to be there if you have a telescope. It's a bluish green kind of comet. I don't know, Bram, have you seen this yet? Or Howard, have y'all had a chance to look at this yet?
I have not, but maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Yeah. So this one is going to be a little bit dimmer, kind of a green fuzzball as they go. Sometimes these comets come through.
8th magnitude, isn't it? Or 8th or 9th?
Yeah, I think that's right, Howard. Something like that, I want to say. And that is basically, it's as comets go, it's nah. But where it's at is really cool. And it's really opportune for telescopes or binoculars. So I wanted to let y'all know about that. That is up there, and y'all should definitely check it out if you can. And this is
have there been any updates about a dust tail or an ion tail for that comet?
Not really. Actually, as it's been going up through Orion, so coming up from the Rigel area up to where it's at now in the Bellatrix, and coming up this way, it's actually been kind of dimming from what I can tell, just from following friends on Instagram and stuff who are taking images of it. It seemed like it was way brighter down here. And I feel like it's getting a little bit dimmer. Whoops, I did it again. As it's been going up here, it has been kind of shrinking a little bit, and kind of getting a little bit more green, which is something that I've noticed as comets, get real big, they lose that green, but as they get back down or they shrink back down a little bit, they get more green. I don't know. So, but it does look like it is dimming. So good luck with that, y'all. That is its position
for tomorrow at 2:12 a.m. So wait, that might actually be tonight. I'm sorry. Tonight at 2 a.m., which is actually technically tomorrow. So y'all know what I'm saying, right? I hope so. This is normally where we've recognized visitors. So if you are a visitor with us tonight, we do appreciate y'all joining us online. Normally we have these meetings behind closed doors, and no one else but the membership gets to have access in. But since we're all stuck at home, we figured we'll do it online, and we welcome all y'all visitors. So we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And then while we're doing that, if y'all have any observing reports, I'd love to hear about them. Throw them down in the chat room or on the chats, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, and we can put those comments up, like Adam said hey to Andy, so we can throw those up if y'all want to. Let us know what y'all been looking at. If y'all have been looking at Jupiter, I know we all just looked at Jupiter thanks to Joe here, but if y'all have been doing some telescopic, some binocular, whatever, throw it down. We'll get to those as we go through the program tonight. And but let's start. Bram, have you been out doing anything?
No, not since ESP. But yeah, I'm planning to go to Columbus tomorrow because it's supposed to be a beautiful night.
And you got busy at El Dorado. This is actually a picture of you at the El Dorado Star Party with your 20-inch Stargate. And how many pins did you earn at El Dorado?
8.
That's got to be some kind of record, I think. I don't think anybody's
it's a record
done...
for me. I'm usually lucky if I can bag 2.
And I mean, the only time I ever saw Bram doing anything else other than observing, he was passed out on the floor of his little hut right there. He was just passed clean out. He was down for the count. But every other time he was like basically at his scope doing exactly what you see him doing right there. So he got to work, and he got 8 pins. And if you know anything about these Star Party observing lists, then that's quite a few objects. That's at least 20 to 25 objects each list.
Yeah,
and I'm willing to bet
average is probably about 23.
Yeah, and you probably did more objects than that on those lists, right? Or did you just go for the exact number?
Most of them, because I wanted to get multiple pins, so I didn't do too much extra credit. Although there were several lists where there were things that were so close together, like there'll be a star cluster there, and they had specific stars named on the clusters, so it was pretty easy to bam, 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 knock those down.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, congratulations, Bram. And then
Thanks.
Howard, have you been out doing any observing lately, or?
Well, not a whole lot. I have a little Celestron birding scope, 80 millimeter, and so I can crank it all the way up to 60 power. And so anyway, I've looked at Jupiter with it, and due to basically my knees and stuff, I hardly can't get out the big scope anymore. And so anyway, I did with that little scope. One night I got really a great view of Jupiter in both bands, and Io was right up against the edge of the surface, the limb of Jupiter, and I was able to separate that away from the limb. And of course, it didn't take long to move away from it. But anyway, it was pretty crisp, actually. I was surprised. And then I used the birding scope recently this week for observing the sun, our relatively large spot that we had for a few days and still around, of course, but Venus. And
I saw it too.
Oh yeah, and Jane saw it too.
Oh, Jane saw it too. Then it's for sure. Then it's official.
Yes.
Right, it's official, and so
I verified.
and of course, I use my stabilization binoculars and follow some of the things through the sky that way. But anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
There you go. And Howard's got an awesome solar report for us coming up. He's going to let us know about all this activity that's going on the sun. And then Joe, I mean, I know you got at least one award. You got one observing award at El Dorado, but have you been doing anything? Oh, you got 2. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You did more than me. Wow.
Yeah, I got the 2, and I saw just how diligent Bram was, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to even try to compete. So, but no, I've been doing a lot of testing with the ZWO camera, the 224 MC, and trying to capture some images of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars before we lose them for the rest of the year. So they're getting further and further away, and I wanted to take advantage of their position in the sky to see if I can capture some decent images. But I promise I'm not getting the imaging bug. That's the last thing I need right now.
Yeah, as you're stepping out and buying a half-meter visual telescope. Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
But yeah, well, cool, man. I'm glad that you're getting at least some photons from Jupiter in them, because like Joe said, y'all, take advantage of this little bit of time we have left. I mean, at the end of the program tonight, there's a conjunction you do not want to miss at the end of this year between Jupiter and Saturn. We're going to talk about it. But like Joe said, we're losing Jupiter and Saturn to the sun. Eventually, they will go behind the sun, and we won't see them for 3, 4, or 5 months until they pop up on the other side for a new season, right? So it'll be several months before we see them again. So cool. And if y'all do have any observing reports, we do have a couple. They say it's cloudy in Venus, Texas, which is, hey, that sounds like the story around here pretty much. It's pretty much always cloudy around here. So cool. We'll just keep on going. This beautiful image is, I think everybody on this panel knows this galaxy all too well. This is NGC 7479, and this is kind of like my deep sky object picture showcase of the month or something.
That's my new favorite right there.
Yeah, and so Bram, we've all been talking about this galaxy. We love it. It's really cool. In night vision and telescopes, it actually does really, really well. And that's because it has a high surface brightness. You can see all the information there. It's also every object in the nighttime sky, whether it's a galaxy, a star cluster, it only has like 9 names. And there's 3 of the 15 that this galaxy has, which is NGC 7479, or you can call it Caldwell 44, or you can call it UGC 12343, which I thought was funny. So they all have all these crazy names. It's kind of a brighter galaxy as galaxies go, especially for being about 100 million light years away. It's 104,000 light years across, so that's a long way. But it's actually smaller as some galaxies go. Some galaxies are much larger. It had a supernova in 1990 inside of it, which is cool. I regret that I couldn't see that. That was probably pretty neat. And it's a Seyfert galaxy, which I barely know what that means, but what I do know that means is that they act like quasars, which are radio sources in the nighttime sky, that when you look at them, they're just a stellar point, but it's actually because they're that far away. But this radio source, this quasar, is actually just 100 million light years away. So we can actually see some detail in it. And it's got a high surface brightness. And if you look up Seyfert galaxies, that's what you'll find there. Of course, I probably butchered all that, but I know that in a telescope, this thing looks absolutely gorgeous. And this is a friend of ours that took this picture, Mr. Stephen Hummel. And he actually uploaded this maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, dude, can I share that? He's like, yeah. And I thought it was funny because, again, Bram and I and all of us, we are all talking about this galaxy for the past several months. It kind of just like every once in a while, there's a showpiece galaxy that we all kind of chatter about. And this has been one of them. And beautiful shot, Stephen. So you can see there in the bottom his Instagram handle at Hummel Stephen, or at Hummel_Stephen. And he's got awesome stuff, y'all. Y'all have to be following him. Great stuff. So we'll go right into some officers' comments. And now the only officer besides myself here tonight, because Eddie is on vacation, a well-deserved vacation, I might add. Howard is the only officer. So Howard, do you have any club business that you need that needs to be addressed before we chug along here?
Well, not really. Being as I do the astronomy newsletter and for the club, that I just welcome people to send in their articles, and don't forget about that. No matter how small they think they might be. A lot of times people think what they looked at is not important, but it is, and others in the club want to hear about it anyway. So please, you members out there that are watching, send in your articles and keeps that newsletter going, and I don't have to write about a bunch of other stuff that people would rather hear from the members. That's about all I got to say about that. And so Will's going to show you my calendar, which doesn't amount to a whole lot, but it's kind of interesting. And so we'll have that after a while.
Yep. And I'll do an abbreviated what Eddie does, but I don't, I can just tell y'all that the treasure report is what it was last month. Basically, we've had maybe one or two families join, and so we want to welcome them. And basically, I think we've had somebody join the club every month this year, or maybe minus a few months. So that's kind of fun. And being online and doing this has kind of opened that up for even more people to kind of join us. And you don't have to be local to us to join. We'll oops, wrong slide. We'll be glad to have you. We do prorate it, so if you join now, it's like $5, I think, for the end of the year. You probably just want to, do the 30 and join for January. So you'd be a member of the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas in 2021, and we can get you going there, because I guess it is time to start talking about renewal, right, Howard? I mean, we're getting toward the end of the year,
right?
And it goes fast. This year has both gone by so slow and so fast at the same time. It's kind of like one of those weird years where you're like, what's actually happening here? I don't even know what time is anymore. But these are some of the club perks that you get for joining our club. You get the awesome newsletter that Howard does every month, and you get the Reflector magazine as well. And it's a small group. We're a small group here in Beaumont, Texas, but I think it's a good group, and I'm honored to be a part of it. We have I want to just shout this out real quick, and then we'll move on. But we do have an Amazon Smile account. So if you do shop on Amazon while you can't go out these days, we would love to have Jeff Bezos' money from you. So the way it works is you go to smile.amazon.com and you buy 7 PlayStation 5s. And then we get 5.5% of that money. Doesn't come out of your pocket. It comes out of Jeff Bezos' pocket, which is a beautiful thing. And if you are under us, or, if you're representing us, it'll say something like this. And it'll say, when you go to the Amazon Smile, for the Prime thing, it'll say supporting the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. And if you go do your shopping there, we would love to have your free Jeff Bezos money. And that would be amazing. So do that. I know there's a couple of members in the club that have gotten us quite a substantial amount, and unfortunately one of them is my wife. So yeah, she shops way too much. But that's okay. Most of it's for me. November 2020. There's the calendar that Howard makes for us, and he was talking about, and you can see we're coming up on new moon, guys. So for us deep sky enthusiasts, we're there. And Joe couldn't have picked a better time to go out west and check out those skies than right now with new moon happening. But for those of y'all that are wondering, whenever the moon is new, that means it's over by the sun, and that means we don't have any moon at night, which is awesome. And that basically we don't have to deal with the moon's bright light, and we can search for deep space, which is awesome. But then also,
by the way,
yeah,
you see that the moon is at perigee tonight, and so your new moon is the largest new moon of the year. So be sure and go out and see it.
It's a super new moon.
Yeah, it's a super new moon.
Yeah, and that's the best kind of new moon to see, right? Is the super new moon, because then it's super not there.
I hope the news service doesn't pick that up.
Yeah, no, not at all. No. But check out what also Howard put on there is the Leonid Meteors. Now, I didn't put a slide on the meeting agenda for tonight for the Leonid Meteors, but just know that the Leonids are pretty decent. I've had pretty good luck with my Sony camera outside doing some photon fishing, if you will, where I just kind of leave the camera pointed in one place at 80,000 ISO, and then you have to watch the footage all day the next day. But every once in a while, you'll catch a little meteor. I've been pretty lucky with the Leonids. So this may be a good year. It may be the worst year for the Leonids ever. Who knows? But you never know with a meteor shower like that. So it's always best to just, if it's clear, just go out and peek your head out about 1 a.m. and see what's going on. And then who knows? But there is the calendar, and we got a full moon on the 30th, which is the very end of the month. So we'll start off with going into last quarter for a new year, which is pretty cool. I'll get some comments real quick here before we move on. Spencer Pratt says, "Hi, club." Hey, Mr. Spencer Pratt. Good to see you, man. Glad you could join us all the way from the other side of Texas that we're all on, basically, even though I'm only 30 miles away. It's good to see you, Spencer. Veronica says hello from Houston, Texas. And Snyder, what's going on? How you doing? New moon was all right, he says, which I think is a what was that vampire movie? I forget. But that's pretty funny. Twilight, that's what it was. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on from Twilight. So, there we go. Asterism of the month. You might be like, what is an asterism? Well, we've all heard of the Big Dipper. Everybody. There's not one planet that hasn't heard of the Big Dipper. But that's not even a constellation. If you thought it was a constellation, you're wrong. It's an asterism. And what is an asterism? Well, it's just a happenstance of stars that people put a shape onto, and the Big Dipper happens to be one of them. And we happen to have one of the probably the most prolific asterism finder on planet Earth, at least in our time, the Charles Messier of asterisms, if you will, Mr. Bram Wiseman. And Bram, why don't I see Joe laughing because it is pretty funny, but he is. I mean, he is. Bram, you found a lot of asterisms, haven't you?
Yeah, 6 or 7, I guess.
That's a lot because I've only found like 3. But what I like about Bram's is it's not just like, he's not like, oh, look at this thing. It's the line of stars asterism. No, it's usually something that means something. It has like a story behind it. And so why don't you tell us about, I'll go to the next slide. I'll let you tell us about, I've lost my mouse though. That's why I'm stalling here. I'm sorry. I can't find my mouse. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, there we go. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Bram.
Okay. This is an asterism that I found back, I don't know what month it was. Maybe it was like April or May. And I was just cruising around looking for a galaxy that was in this region, and this group of stars just jumped out at me, and I said, "Bam! There's a Tholian web slinger from Star Trek! Wow!" And so I noted the coordinates. This figure you see here is Sky Tools, so I put a sky mark there, and then later on generated these images. And I was looking for some artwork to explain to people what this Tholian craft looks like, and I found this guy who does Star Trek graphics. I can't remember the name. Webcomic, I think it is, something like that. It's there in the fine print. But anyway, it's pretty nice. Look how closely those stars trace out the outline of the web slinger, and
it's eerily close.
It's fun, and for me, it's a really easy star hop. I mean, I never even have to pull out the charts to find this thing, as long as I can see the great square there, the Hercules cluster. So it's in a Hercules, and actually, I'm not even sure. Hercules is going to be pretty low now. You're going to have to get this early if it's even still doable.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look and see in a minute here. I'll look at my app on the phone. But yeah, that's it. Oh, I should say that this is kind of a faint object too. I think the faintest stars like magnitude 13.2 or 13.6. So you're going to need some pretty substantial aperture for this one. Like I think at least an 8.
An
If
8-inch,
I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah,
As
and that's
opposed
your
to my A asterism, which you need like a 4-inch scope for that one.
Yeah, the A is for Asterism. That was your first, and that's like I
Yeah.
think one of the easier ones. But this one, yeah, I was going to mention that this is done on a 20-inch telescope with a 12 millimeter eyepiece, and that's the field of view there, correct, Bram?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's your field of view when you're looking
10
through an
degrees,
eyepiece
10,
of
10, not degrees, 10
seconds.
minutes.
Or yeah,
Seconds? Minutes. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Right?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. At 417 power. So that's what it would look like. So yeah, it is a dimmer one. But so were you looking for something else when you ran across it? That's how I always find the asterisms, or I'm like looking at a star cluster and I'm like, oh, that looks like an angry cat or whatever,
Yeah. I was star hopping for a galaxy, and that thing caught my eye.
It wasn't one of those Lidas, was it?
No.
These incredibly faint nothing galaxies out here that you'll never ever see with a telescope. Yeah.
Right. Why are they
Yeah.
even annotated on there?
Yeah, because they're there, I guess, right? That's cool, man. And so there's your assignment, y'all, for I guess what next spring we'll
Well,
start
let me see if
getting.
this. I'm gonna look on my phone right now. It might
We'll
still be doable.
Yeah, because there you've got this is Cygnus, the Swan, and then you've got Lyra. So this is the Summer Triangle. So definitely easily done in the spring, and definitely all summer too. I think probably all summer.
Oh yeah, you can still do it.
You can still do it. Okay.
Yeah. So here, let me just double check the time settings.
While you're doing that, we'll get to some comments. And Tim Pellerin, our friend from Houston, says, "Can't wait to see the super new moon." That's a good thing, Howard. We should definitely put out a call online for observing challenges.
Okay, so at this latitude, at total darkness, it's still 20 degrees above the horizon, so it's doable.
It's still, you have to get it right at dark, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, if you can always get it next year or next spring, whatever, because that's when we'll start seeing the bottom of Hercules coming back on around. And Enrique from Honduras, all the way from Honduras. He says, where do the Leonid meteors radiate from? Is it Regulus? Well, it's just anywhere really in the area of Leo. I'm pretty sure. Howard, how do you feel about that? Does it come out of Regulus, or is it more just a broad Leo kind of area?
Well, I'm just not real sure about that, but it just seems like as Leo is in the eastern sky, that it's to the right of Regulus. And so maybe 5 or 10 degrees out there kind of to the right.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm really not up on that exactly.
Yeah, they do put on a good show, that's for sure. And then Susie QT says, hey, from Beaumont, I want to join. Well, come on down and join, I guess. I don't know if that's sounds really Price is Right all of a sudden. Come on down. You're the next member of Asset. No, definitely get with us, Susie QT. You can message the Facebook page if you'd rather do that. And you can get in touch with us, and we'll definitely get you down as a member if you want to join the Astronomy Club. We'd love to have you. Snyder says my daughter calls it the bear's butt. I guess you mean the Big Dipper, right? I guess because it kind of is. It's not an inaccurate or an inaccurate description there. Hello from Ulysses, Texas. Cyber Player says, and then Spencer says, start an internet legend about the super black moon. Ooh, yeah. So it's not a blood moon, y'all. It's that super new black moon that you can never find. And then the flat earthers will come in droves and try to start something. Well, cool, Bram. That was awesome, man. Look for the Tholian. I'm sorry. Is it Tholian? Yeah.
Tholian, yeah.
Tholian web slinger.
Yeah,
it's in the nighttime sky.
Just to remind y'all what this ship does, if you saw classic Star Trek, back in the 60s, you may remember an episode where there were these aliens that had ships that would actually like spin a web, like a spider web. They would trace it back and forth, and make a web and ensnare starships. So that's it. That's the web slinger.
I remember that.
I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the old one because that's intriguing. Well, cool, Bram, and hopefully we'll get you on next time to do one of your other ones. He has like I said, like 50. So we'll definitely get him on to do one of the other ones too. And we're talking about doing a joint list of asterisms, the Bram or the Wiseman Young list, as it will be known probably. So
I think you should mention your asterism because tis the season.
you're right. Yeah, it's it is that season for the Daub area over there near Cassiopeia. So I'll probably do that next month, though, Bram. You're right.
Okay.
ISS passes. This is for Beaumont, Texas. So if you live outside of Beaumont, Texas, you can go grab a cup of coffee while we talk about this for a second. Here are my best three anyway, but I don't want to wake up at 5:19 in the morning. And I know a lot of y'all might be getting up for work or y'all might be sleeping as well. But November 16th, we got a really good pass at 1844. And then on November 19th, an even better pass at 1757, or actually at 1800 is where it will be at its absolute peak of 75. And I think there's a couple more. December 9th. This is a negative 3.9. That's bright, y'all. That's a bright pass right there. And at 73 degrees, whoops, I don't know why I keep doing that. At 73 degrees right here at its highest point, that is pretty nice.
Almost
so, Mark,
overhead.
Yeah, exactly, Howard, exactly. Because 90 degrees is directly overhead. That might as well be directly overhead. And look at that brightness, y'all. That thing's going to be amazing. So mark your calendars for the 9th, or the 16th, which I think is 2 days. The 19th is another good one. And then, of course, December 9th is going to be a good one. And again, this is for Beaumont, Texas. If you're outside of Beaumont, you can use Heavens Above, which I don't have listed up here, but I get this from heavens-above.com. And then you just tell it where you are on planet Earth, and it'll show you when the ISS is coming over. What's cool, though, is if you click on one of the individual times, it'll open up this star chart. And this is 19th of November. And so this is the sky at that particular time. Then it tells you in timestamps where the ISS will be at what times. So you can see at 1800 hours, it's right here by Aquila. And it's just sort of going across the sky. It goes through Cygnus into Cassiopeia. And then right here is where it will disappear. So yeah, it's going to be a bright pass. It's going to be negative 3.6. Yo, that is pretty bright. It definitely does get brighter to like almost negative fourth magnitude. But 3.6 is a really good one. So don't miss those. And again, if you live outside of Beaumont, Texas, you can definitely find out when ISS will be passing over with heavens-above.com. That's not a paid endorsement. That's just us talking about it. So El Dorado Star Party just happened, and all four of us on the panel tonight have been to El Dorado's before, and whether in the past or this last year. And Bram and Joe, it was their first one. It was a little bit of a weird one, but as far as the astronomy goes, it was a home run. Basically, every night was observable. We never got any sleep. It was just, constant astronomy, and it was amazing. And we did have to deal with coronavirus and COVID rules and stuff like that, like we were talking about. But it seemed to go really well. Everybody kind of respected social distancing and wore the masks, and there were hand sanitization areas all over the ranch, which was fantastic. But I wanted to kind of roll this Star Party time lapse that I took while we kind of chat about this. Is it running now? Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Bram, this was your first El Dorado. What were your thoughts, man? How did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was great. I'm kicking myself for having not gone to this before. I don't know. I dismissed it as being like, subpar. For me, I was bound for TSP and eventually Okie-Tex, but
yeah,
man, the skies are great, and the people are great, the nice facilities, and it's the closest one. So like, I've really been missing out. Never again, not making that mistake again.
Yeah.
As long as I can load up my scope and drive, I'm going to be hitting that.
Nice, man. I'm glad you had a good time. Again, you did 8 pins over the course of, what was that, 7 nights or so that you were there, I think? 6 nights?
Yeah, but I had a couple of flub nights. Like my first night wasn't real productive because I was so road weary. And then there was the night my scope was down because my drive cable broke.
Yeah.
So I think really 4 or 5 nights.
That's a lot of work for that amount of time, man, for sure. That's amazing. And Joe, so this was your first. I think I know Joe is still with us. He's not driven off the planet yet. There he is. This was your first one, Joe. So what were your thoughts, man?
It was. I mean, with the exception of the weird roommate I had, it was fantastic. But no, I'm just playing. No, the facilities were top notch. The lodging was just for a star party and being a place that remote. You can't ask for better facilities, better lodging. As Bram said, the skies were just absolutely fantastic. Didn't really have to contend with clouds any night. And yeah, it was just the one thing I noticed about it versus a TSP was obviously the field was much smaller in terms of the number of people out there. There were several nights where 2 o'clock in the morning, there were 4 or 5 of us out there, and we were just really kind of being serious about our observing. But that's what seemed a little different about it. It just seemed more serious. We seemed a little more focused than we normally would at, say, a Texas Star Party or something like that.
Yeah, and it's divided into 2 fields. This field that I'm showing here is the Lodge field. This is where basically all of the astronomers from Asset, which is our club, and then Houston. There were some people from the Houston Astronomy Club on the main field, which is just to the south of us here. And there were some Johnson Space Center members there. I think there was 5 of them out there on the Lodge field. And it was so busy, we had clear skies basically every night. So no one really went from field to field too much. We were all kind of just at our scopes doing work. And it was cool. Joe got 2 lists done. Bram got 8. I got a bunch of carbon stars done. I'm working on a carbon star list right now. And of course I could do those carbon stars from my backyard, right? But it's a lot more fun when you're out there in the dark to kind of get a little bit better sky contrast and things like that. And but Howard, so Howard's been going to El Dorado star parties for a long time. And Howard, what was your first year again? It was in 2000. Was it 8?
2003, maybe.
2003.
It was the second year.
Second year.
Whatever year that was, I don't remember, but exactly. But it was the second one that was my first, and I've been to 12 of them, I think. So, but my last one was 2017, so it's been a dry spell.
Well, we're gonna get you back out there.
Really good memories. I mean, I look at this stuff and it just almost brings tears to my eyes to see that.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience that when you go to you hear about star parties, but until you go to one, you really can't fully immerse yourself in the kind of the magic. I don't know. It's a different kind of vibe when you go out and you spend 5 straight nights doing an astronomy activity. It's life-changing.
Right. By the way, Jane's been out there quite a few times herself and participated in doing different programs, that they had. And so she's got her little certificates and buttons also from out there. She has a 12-inch light bridge.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I grew up using Jane's scope, basically. I mean, well, kind of. At the Hodges Garden Star Party one night, Jane went to bed and was like, "Here, Will, you just take my scope and have fun with it." And I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, what?" And so I was able to use her scope and just, go peruse the sky. And so I'll never forget that, Jane. Thank you for letting me borrow your scope that night. That was awesome. But yeah, these star parties are a magical thing, guys. I promote these all the time on my channel and in my videos because I really believe that if you get out to something like this right here, Like like Bram and Joe said, it's just it's a surreal experience to be not only doing it yourself, because that changes your brain, but to be doing it with colleagues and friends, people that are set up near you doing the exact same thing. They may be working on a different list, or they may be trying to find something else, and you may be doing something else all night, but you're all there together. And that sense of camaraderie, that sense of community is really powerful at a star party. And it's something that I challenge all of y'all who have wanted to do it, but never have. Like Bram said, why did I wait so long? And I felt like that about star parties in general myself. So I can definitely relate to that. So definitely want to see y'all all at the 2021 El Dorado Star Party. So if you have questions about star parties, please let me know, or one of these awesome panelists. But solar activity, Howard, you had some slides for us, and if you want, what I'll do is I'll just I'll change the slide as you're ready to go. How about that?
Okay, that'll work, I guess. Let's start off with pull up number 1 there.
There you
go. Earlier, about a week ago, November 7th here on this shot, AR 2781 moved onto the surface of the sun, and it was not only just one huge sunspot, but it was a group. And so AR 2781 is a group, and that when it first came out, they were wondering what the flare activity would be with the group, but basically all the flares that were detected were fairly minor ones in C class, and I think a C7 was about the largest flare that was detected.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, let's just go to slide 2.
Okay, let's see. There we go.
And so anyway, then out of Earth sky, I picked up this thing of Victor Rogus in Sedona, Arizona, took this photo, and it was a picture of the whole sun, which was really great. But I took the group and enlarged it so that you could see the detail on the surface. And again, this is November the 7th. And the spot, of course, I got out my little birding scope again and looked at all this, and I could not, with my birding scope at 60 power 80, it's an 80 millimeter, it would not pick up the smaller part of the group, only the big dot. But I estimated it at a size twice the size of Earth. If Earth was, silhouetted on the sun, the dot that size, it looked like to me it was about twice the size of Earth. So it was a huge spot there for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the first thing I started noticing as the week rolled on was that the groups started to decay. And so anyway, let's go on to the next slide. Now, on the 11th of November, which was Wednesday maybe, a new group showed up on the edge of the sun, and it was named AR 2782. And again, it appeared to be a fairly weak spot when it came on, but right off the bat, it actually hurled a CME out, corona mass ejection, and it didn't come toward Earth because, as you can see, it was pointed away from Earth and not in if it was in the center of the sun, then it would be directed toward us. But anyway, there hasn't been another CME out of it, and but they feel like it has potential for one. And I guess you can move on to the next one.
Okay.
So anyway, yesterday I went into spaceweather.com and got these shots of the sun, and then I took them and enlarged them. I see Terry George on the screen. That's my daughter.
Somebody's interrupting your talk, Howard. I don't know what we should do about that.
And so anyway,
Awesome.
So 2781 is, as you can see, is moving over pretty close now toward the limb of the sun, and all the grouping has disappeared, and it's just the one sunspot left, and it's considerably smaller than I observed it. And then in the other sunspot, AR 2782, which just came on to the surface away from the limb, it was a group, but it was pretty weak, and it hasn't shown anything in a way of increasing. It pretty well is, I think, yesterday it started decreasing quite a bit. So anyway, that's the story of yesterday. And so let's move on, Will. And then today I got, again, from spaceweather.com, the top picture, I was trying to show the location basically on the sun's surface where each of the sunspots is. As you can see, 2781 is getting really close to the edge of the limb. And as 2782 has moved toward the center, it's just kind of dissipating. And as you can see from the pictures below, 2781 is just a single sunspot there, plus its active region around it, but no other sunspots. And 2782 is down to one meager little spot. So today I got out my scope this afternoon. We've had nothing but clouds over here at Conroe yesterday, all day yesterday. And so today the clouds started breaking up a little, and I got to pull out and look at it. And so this afternoon, in fact, a few hours ago. And so that sunspot 2781 is right on the limb of the deal. And by tomorrow morning, I'm sure it'll be gone when the sun comes up in the morning, and it's gone off the side. And so, up at the equator on the sun, the spots that move across, if they were there, they'd take about 13 and a half days. But when they get down where these are running across the sun, the time is much shorter. So I don't know what about 7 to 8, 9 days at the max, just about 9 days at the max. And so anyway, that's kind of that story. And the sun's activity has been, this isn't much, but it's a bunch better than it's been this year.
Absolutely.
It's cycle 25, and it's getting going, and there's more coming. And so I just wanted to say that what I read was that on the backside of the sun, NASA's Stereo spacecraft has been monitoring a pair of UV hotspots on the far side of the sun, and that they're expecting them to be large sunspots, and they are about 3 to 5 days. Well, and that was this morning, so maybe 4 days away from making their appearance on the edge, the limb of the sun. So coming out this week, this next week, hopefully we'll have more activity coming on. So the sun, cycle 25, is starting to show a little life.
Yeah.
And I just threw this in there to show you kind of where the path across the sun is, with the sunspots at that level, and whatever latitude that is, I don't know, what looks like 45 or something.
You got me.
So how quickly the sunspots changed was very interesting. And some of the fun facts about the sun is that, it's over almost 900,000 miles across. That just blows my mind. And the period at the equator again is 27 days, and the sun's temperature is 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and hydrogen and helium composition. And we all know pretty much that the darkened patches are caused by the sun's magnetic field. So anyway, that's my solar report, Will.
Awesome. But you also had a little thing tagged on here at the end, Howard. What is this?
Well, this is my bonus report. Y'all get to another 5 minutes.
A cherry on top, if you will.
One of my favorite objects in the sky are double stars. And this one is Sigma Oreonis. And I'm sure you guys know that it's just below the belt of Orion, right near the Horsehead Nebula. And it's a third magnitude star, very evident with the naked eye. And it is a quadruple star. And then there's another star really close to it that is a triple star. And so I guess it's Struve. Is that the way you pronounce the catalog? The guy?
Sure. Yeah, or Struve, I've heard also. Just don't say it's Struve. I think that's wrong.
Oh, okay. So anyway, one of the things about this is that my field of view I'm showing there, usually approximately 50 power, should show both the quadruple star and the triple star. And Sigma Oreonis, of course, is the primary thing of the whole group. And but it's actually a quintuplet, 5 stars, but the main star is, I think the other one is like 1/10 of a degree arc, so it's unobservable. But 4 are very observable, and the weakest star in the group is 9th magnitude, which is the C component. And down at the STF 761, they're all about the same brightness, and which is I think about 8. And so they're not real dim. So they stand out very well. But I just loved that double star, and I've always had partial feelings toward it. And it could be seen in a small scope, so fantastic. But that's my report.
And it is right there, like Howard said, right below Alnitak, which is this bright star right here.
Yeah, you got the Flame Nebula there, and then you got
the Horsehead down this way.
Horsehead, and so it's really a neat deal.
Yeah, and so you can just find the Horsehead, good luck, and then go right over on in here for that. Actually, what would be easier is just to find Alnitak, because if you know the Horsehead, then you know how difficult that object can be. But just find Alnitak and just go right down almost towards, like Howard said, the Orion Nebula down here.
It's just a few degrees is at the most, a degree maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's real close and very observable even in polluted skies.
Yeah. I've actually seen this one. I think it may have been in the Double Star Club for the Astronomical League. I'm not exactly sure.
I think
But
it is, Will.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's a good one. Well, thank you, Howard. Great job. That's awesome stuff. And definitely, I challenge all of y'all to go out and view that thing because Howard, like Howard said, these multiple star systems in Orion are just beautiful. On a cold winter's night, there's almost nothing better than just some double star or multiple star systems in your scope. I can tell you that much. Okay, so as we're kind of closing her down here, normally I'll do a James Webb Space Telescope update, but there's no updates to have. Also, I want to let everybody know that Bram had to jump off. He's got a prior engagement, so thank you, Bram, for joining us. And Joe Joe's driving across the country, so he's definitely probably lost his internet. But thank you to Bram and Joe for joining us. You guys are awesome. You guys are always fun. But
I can't believe that Joe did that, just driving along the road or stopping and getting with us. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was like, I definitely need to stop by because, considering he's going out to buy a brand new scope, hopefully that's some good karma or something, however that works for him. And he'll be able to make a deal tonight or tomorrow, I guess. Hopefully is when he gets there. So, but yeah, there's no real James Webb update, guys. I mean, I'd love to tell y'all that it's launching tomorrow and that we're going to change astrophysics over the next few weeks, but that's not really the case with James Webb. They're still breaking it. They're still trying to figure out how to fix it once they break it, because you try to break it on Earth, because if you break it in space, you don't get to fix it. So instead of talking about James Webb, I want to just briefly go through some of the coolest stuff that I've been exposed to the last few days in astronomy. And that was a talk that I took in with the Houston Astronomical Society just I think it was last week. And they had a couple of experts on the Mars Rover as guests, and they did a talk on it. And what I just want to distill it to the parts that I found the most fascinating, because we've all heard about Perseverance, the rover that we sent to Mars. But there were some things that they brought up that I had never really heard of that I thought would be fascinating for us to kind of hear as we're kind of hanging out here. And then, we got Joe back. I'll add him to the stream. Well, if I can here. There we go. Now he's back, at least in spirit, if nothing else. We got you back, Joe. So this was Perseverance. The rover is actually up in here in the fairing. And this is the rocket that took it to Mars, which is pretty fascinating that you can do that these days. This is the actual spacecraft that is carrying the rover. And inside this sort of structure here, there's a small car-sized rover inside here, tucked away with these scientists for scale. And basically, this thing is heading off towards Mars. And this is the heat shield for the vehicle right here. So this is the end that will point into the Mars atmosphere as it's going in. And the landing to this thing, I didn't put the video on here, but if you want to watch the landing procedure for this thing, it's absolutely fascinating. Look up 7 Minutes of Terror on YouTube, and that'll show you the what they call EDL, or entry, descent, and landing. So when EDL happens, they lose communication with the spacecraft, and they're basically hoping that it comes out on the other side as communicating from the surface of Mars, because everything is automated. The sky crane maneuver, the reorientations, the radar, all that is automated on board this spacecraft. It's an absolute modern marvel is what they've done here. And they did it once with Curiosity, and now we're going back with Perseverance, which is going to be interesting. So here's kind of an animation of how the launch goes. This blue dot here is Earth. The magenta is Perseverance, and the green is the orbit of Mars. And you can see that they had to launch Perseverance way back here. This was back in July 30th is when the spacecraft finally flew. And you can see it's February 20th before it gets there. And this is the orbit that they had to take. So they had to shoot the rocket away from Earth, but not too fast, or they would just pass Mars on by. There's all kinds of correcting orbits they're going to do all along its march towards Mars. And again, in February 20th, they will enter the Mars atmosphere, and we'll know whether or not everything worked perfectly. There is no margin for error. Everything has to be absolutely perfect for this to work. And this could be a mission that changes science altogether, y'all. At least how we know of astrobiology, or what we know of astrobiology. So I'm very excited to see what happens, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. This is where they're landing. This is the Jezero Crater, and it's this whole bluish region right here. This is a false color image where blue is deep and red or white is tall peaks of mountains. So it's a topographical chart, and you can see the elevation right there on the side. So basically, as you go further and further deep under water, you go down into this blue section, and then if you're on a mountain peak, right, you go over this way. It's a big area, but it's an area where they can definitely see water flowing in, and you can see a delta of material that had been deposited there, and you can see an outflow channel out of the crater. And this is where they're going to land. Now, this is the Perseverance landing circle. The one for Curiosity was about 8 times that size. It was huge. It was bigger than this whole screen, basically. And this is how much they've refined their abilities to land on Mars, and that's incredible. But you can see they want to land right here in this delta because they think that might be the best chance to find life, because at some point they think Mars looked like this. Well, they know it did because there's evidence of flowing liquid water for a long time right there on the surface. So at one point, we can pretty much rest assured that this is what Jezero Crater looked like on the surface of Mars. This is not Earth, guys. This is Mars. This would have been a very, very, very long time ago, hundreds of millions, maybe even a billion or so years ago. So there's a lot of chance here that this crater being filled with water could have potentially had the seeds of life, and potentially we could find it here. Now, again, this is where Perseverance will go and explore. They've got all kinds of instruments on board this thing. It's even more beefy than Curiosity. But some of them are built in, like spectrometers and things that can measure things on the fly while they're on the surface of Mars. And again, this is the river delta, where sort of I guess maybe Jezero River kind of flows down and it kind of dumps into the Jezero Crater. I guess what we're gonna call that. It probably has a name that I don't know about, but you can see all throughout here. You can see that this is exactly what a river delta or deposit looks like here on Earth. I mean, think Mississippi Delta, but right there by New Orleans. This is exactly what you're seeing there. I thought that was fascinating that's where they're going. Another thing that I loved, and for those of y'all that signed up for the Mars 2020 rover, your name is on this plate right here. So these little bitty chips right here on the Mars rover, our names are on there if you signed up to go to Mars. So if you did, congratulations. You're going to be on Mars in February. Well, I guess with or without mission success, because at some point that thing's going into Mars's atmosphere, and it's going to be on the surface whether we like it or not. As you know, a hard or soft landing. But that their talk was so much more in depth. They know way more about this than I do. I'm more of a visual amateur astronomer than a rocket scientist. But it was just fascinating. A talk. You had to catch it live because it wasn't recorded. And that's okay, because it was a beautiful talk. And, as time goes on, we'll definitely be talking more about the Mars rover for sure as we go along over the next, few months as we get closer to splashdown, or hopefully landing on Mars. I guess you can call it splashdown. But and Susie QT had a question. I love astrophotography. Are there any photographers in the group? Oh yeah, we have a bunch of photographers, a lot of visual astronomers too, but there are some really good photographers in our group, Susie. I've been known to take a picture or two. They're not the best, but they serve their purpose. But there are people way better than me in the club. Yeah. So to answer your question, absolutely. And Nicole says, hello, I just wanted to say thank you for the great information you guys put out. I recently started my degree path in astronomy, and watching your videos helps me understand stuff much better than reading a book. Well, thank you, Nicole. That is absolutely awesome. And I mean, hey, that's our goal here as an astronomy club, as Asset, is just to share astronomy. We really don't care about anything else. We just like sharing astronomy and giving back to the people that gave to us. When I joined the club, Howard Miner taught me so much, and the only way I figured it that I could repay him for all that awesome knowledge was to give that knowledge away to others. And so that's what we're here to do. We're here to just pass the knowledge on, just keep it going, right? So we appreciate that, Nicole. Thank you for hanging out with us. Susie says, I have had a scope on order for months. Anyone know where to get an 8-inch? That's, Susie, that's a problem. I've heard that Celestron is back ordered, I think, like a few months. Don't quote me exactly on that, but they are back ordered like crazy. Susie, I would say the best place to order an 8-inch would be probably like OPT, Oceanside Photo and Telescope. I think they have some stuff in that range that in stock, that you might look into. I think it's optcorp.com. I'm sure there's others. Howard, can you think of anybody that might have an 8-inch for sale? I'm sure there's somebody out there that does.
No, I don't know anybody. I'll just go ahead and order an 18 and forget about the 8.
There you go. Just go right past the 12 and 15s. You don't need that. Go for the 18 like Howard did. And and our good friend Lori Sell is in the house as well. So it's good to see you, Lori. And then as we're closing out the meeting, guys, because we've got a few seconds left here, we might as well talk about this. And I thought this is going to be really cool. On December 21st, 2020, this is an image from tonight, actually, or from recently. This is Jupiter, and this is obviously a representation of the night sky, right? This is Jupiter, and this is Saturn. On December 21st, they're going to be so close, they'll be both in basically this glow right here. Naked eye, you'll probably have a hard time separating them, although you may be able to. But especially if you can get it, they'll be down here in the west.
They'll only be about 30 minutes, less than 30, about 20 minutes apart. So your field of view in your telescope, even at 100 power, 150 power, you'll be able to get both of them in there at the same time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean this right here is a representation from Sky Safari Pro. But you can do this with Stellarium or any of the freeware softwares. Just go plug in December 21st, which is easy to remember, right? That's wasn't that the day the world was supposed to end in 2012 or something? It was like the solstice or whatever. But we're still here. We're still talking about 2012. 2012 was a great year comparatively, I think. But
it's a Monday night.
This is a Monday night right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on Monday, December the 21st, 2012, you're going to need a good western horizon. Remember that. So go find maybe an airport or somewhere that has just a lot of land that's flat and open, because you're going to need a great western horizon to see this. But if you can get a good western horizon, you won't even need really a good telescope. You could do this with binoculars easily. But you're going to want to see this one because this is as close as Saturn and Jupiter will get basically in the rest of our lifetimes. I'm pretty sure, Howard, unless you know of one that's going to be.
No, I've read, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's going to be a long, long time. Now, I ran the simulation. So on Sky Safari, which is what I used here, you can, let's say, follow Jupiter. And I followed Jupiter for the next several years. And it doesn't get as close as this to Saturn for the next several years, y'all. So, I mean, we're talking multiple years here.
It's like 29 years.
Yeah. Okay. So like almost 30 years from now, we'll get something similar. You don't really want to miss this. If you have, even a simple DSLR camera, you could get a nice shot of the two dots close together. Just zoom in as much as you can and try to take a picture, but try to see it with your eye too. Use binoculars, use a low power telescope, maybe a telescope with a 30 millimeter eyepiece or more if you have it. 25 is okay, but you might have a little trouble depending on the focal length with that 25 millimeter eyepiece. But you're going to want what, a 30 millimeter eyepiece, Howard, on a short, fast telescope, and you should be able to catch it.
Definitely should. A 30 millimeter eyepiece or 24 will get you a 3/4 degree field of view at least. And like I say, these things are minutes apart, not degrees. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. And it's going to happen like the planets are going to set in after they become visible in the twilight. They're going to set in 3 hours, okay? So your visible time to see them is from twilight when the sun sets. Just for a couple of hours is all you're going to get.
Yeah.
And if it's cloudy, we're all messed up. But anyway,
Or
what you have to do if you're really interested in this conjunction, it's you need to check your weather and drive to where you can get a view. And even if it's a couple 100 miles, that might be worth it.
absolutely, especially if you have like a spotting scope like Howard, or some kind of smaller telescope in that range. It's going to be perfect for this because it'll show you both planets in one telescope view, which is not all that often that you get that. So you definitely want to check this out. And this is, again, this is probably close to what you'll see on that night, especially if you can zoom in with a good grade telescope and you get, decent skies before it's dark, or before they set, I should say, while it's dark. This is what you'll see. You'll see Jupiter and all 4 Galilean moons, and you'll see Saturn with the rings, and they'll be right there in the same patch of sky, which is incredible because Jupiter is what, 500 million miles away?
Right.
And Saturn is almost 1 billion miles away. It's just a little bit about double the distance of Jupiter. Yeah, but there they are right there, just like boop. And it's just a happenstance. It's the planets are aligning, y'all. It's maybe your horoscope really is right. I'm just joking about that. I'm just joking.
In the newsletter for December, I'll put in a detailed instructions on how to view the conjunction.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, Howard, because normally Asset, as an astronomy club, we either have like a restaurant meeting or a potluck or, whatever the situation has brought on over the years as we've gone along. But this year, obviously, we're not getting together for a COVID banquet. So what we probably will do is we will probably go ahead and have a meeting in December as well, which we normally don't do. But we'll probably go ahead and do that this year since, of course, we're meeting all online. We might as well have a December meeting. And I'm going to try to get, I think, a special guest to come and join us. I won't mention who yet, but I think I'm going to try to get a special guest, see if they'll join us, and we'll just make a night out of it. We'll see about that. But we'll get to some.
We could observe on the 21st and get Stephen at McDonald to watch it.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I wonder if his dome would allow him to get that low, but we could definitely probably work something out there.
Yeah,
McDonald.
He
go
could
ahead.
be on it, as it's still daylight almost out there, and so we get an early start.
Yeah, they get an extra 30 minutes of daylight out there at McDonald. They're that far west, but yeah, maybe so. Hopefully, we'll if there's gonna be a live stream, I'll definitely be letting y'all know, especially the club members. There'll be emails about that, of course, and so be watching for that. We'll get to some last minute comments and questions here, and we'll call this meeting adjourned. Adam says, "I have a wide view eyepiece for my Dob. That'll work fine with viewing this conjunction." Absolutely, yeah. Anything in the 25 to 30 mil range. You should be able to get them both in there, if not having to just barely tap the telescope back and forth to get both in. Depending on the focal length, it just really depends. But that will be definitely doable. Hey, it's Ray's Astrophotography. What's up, Ray? How you doing? Massive YouTube following, that guy. Y'all, if you're into astrophotography, Ray is definitely somebody y'all should be following. I think he's on all the socials, Instagram, I think TikTok even. all us weirdos over on TikTok, like the Astro Joe down here, but won't mention that. Joe makes hilarious TikToks, but yeah, it's good to see you, Ray. And Spencer says, hopefully my arm will be up to the task by then. I'll set up my bigger Maxitov Cassegrain with a DSLR. The field of view is about a half a degree. There you go, Spencer. That's going to be nice. I really look forward to those pictures because that's going to be fantastic. Spencer says, I'll bring cookies to the next meeting. So there you go. We're going to have refreshments for the first time in a meeting in months, which is going to be awesome. But hey, I want to thank all of y'all for joining us. This has been fun. We do these once a month as the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. Again, we're an astronomy group, an amateur astronomy group based in Beaumont, Texas. And since COVID happened, we can't have in-person meetings, but we've been making the best of it with these online meetings. And what's awesome about the online meetings is we get to have Mr. Howard Miner join us all the way from Houston. He doesn't even have to drive all the way over to come hang out with us. He just hangs out with us online, which is awesome. And again, thank you to Bram Wiseman, the immature astronomer, which I think is hilarious. By the way, I'm not sure how much Joe is ransoming that Twitter handle for, but I'm sure he's going to get a pretty penny for that name.
Hey, I got to pay for that telescope somehow, right?
Exactly. You got to pay for the new scope somehow. But it was great to have Bram and Joe. Thank you for joining us, even though you're driving across the country to get your next Forever scope, hopefully. And we really appreciate you joining us. And then you're going to update us, right, as you go along. And
I will. Yeah. No, it's always fun hanging out with you guys, and love these chats. Love hanging out with all the folks at Asset. It's a fantastic time and a fantastic club. So I really appreciate you inviting me, Will.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. And follow at the Astro Joe. The Astro Joe. That's Joe's handle on everything. Of course, we all have to have an internet handle these days. And he picked a good one. I picked a weird one. That's the way it goes. Bram picked an even weirder one, so that's even better. But yeah, so follow at the Astro Joe on all the social medias. Joe's doing some really cool work. And he's the president of the Houston Astronomical Society, which is like the first or second biggest club in America. So take that, smaller clubs out there. Joe's got his work cut out for him, but you're doing a great job, Joe. So, because I'm a member,
I appreciate that. Thanks.
I'm a member of HAS and have been for a few years, and you're doing a great job, man. I'm loving everything you're doing over there. It's great stuff. They do Zoom meetings, and so if y'all are interested, get with Joe and figure out how you can become a part of that. Because the Houston Astronomical Society, they've got the goods when it comes to a wheelhouse full of astrophotographers, imagers, asteroid finders, visual guys, weirdos like Bram. Who knows whatever they got over there. But no, we love Bram. I messed with him. But Ray's Astrophotography says, love your work. Well, thank you, Ray. You're the man. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And Steve Olson says, thanks, guys. Great meeting. Well, thank you, Steve, for joining us. And thank y'all to everybody who joined us out there. We're going to do these once a month until COVID passes, and then we're going to go back to meeting as a club back in a building. But hopefully, maybe we'll be able to broadcast that somehow. Who knows? We're kind of talking about that on the back end, behind the scenes, if you will, on the back end of things to see if maybe that's a possibility. We'll see. Howard, thank you so much for your presentation, man. It was great. We appreciate.
Good job, Will. It certainly has been an asset.
I appreciate that, Howard. That's amazing. But no, thank you. And this is my 9th year as president of Asset.
Wow.
And so next year will be 10. And so hopefully there's somebody that wants the torch, because my hand is starting to get a little warm. The torch has been burning down towards my hand here. But I love it. I love the club. I love every moment that I've spent as the president of this club. And that's because of the members. That's because of my friends who observe and hang out with us. And, and people like Joe and Howard here that join us for a meeting. And then Project Oxcart says, watching from the UK. Well, welcome to a lowly amateur astronomy club in Beaumont, Texas, Project. Good to have you. And Spencer says, you're stuck, buddy. Well, you know, I've been stuck before and had to have other people help pull me out of the mud before. So we'll see how that goes here. But yeah, it's been a great time. It's been a great time tonight. Thanks everybody for joining us, and thank you guys for hanging out with us, especially Joe driving across the U.S. doing his thing, getting a road trip in. And which is nice. But hope you stay safe out there, Joe, and keep us updated, man. I'll definitely be relaying the. Hopefully next month you can join us standing next to your new Dob.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, I might be living in it, but no, it's. I'm really looking forward to it. So I've been wanting to join the 20+ inch telescope club for a while, and hopefully this works out. So I'm looking forward to it. But like you said, Will, it's just being out with my buddies, being out with friends, other folks like yourself, Howard. It's just a great time, regardless of what kind of telescope you have. So don't let the thought that you have to have a large telescope detract you from coming out to any of these star parties or anything else like that. Anything works.
I've been observing since 1952. So that's a little over 60 years, 65, something, and off and on. And it's been a great hobby. And people who get into taking on the hobby of astronomy, they need to become observers to get the thrill. So always encourage people to be an observer.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's more combined observing experience than Joe and I combined.
Exactly.
And I mean, so like you got to get out there and just take no one else's advice except for Howard's that you should get out there and view it, because Howard's been doing this for 60+ years and he's not tired of it yet. So that should tell you something.
And another thing, I can remember back as a kid, and we lived about 50, 60 miles out of St. Louis, and light pollution was not a problem. I mean, you had no problem just walking out of our house and seeing 4.5 magnitude stars, and it just didn't have the shopping centers and stuff that light up the world.
Car lots and gas stations, and yeah. Well, that's the I guess the price we pay for progress, but that's why we all drive hundreds of miles out to West Texas to go view, and and that kind of it also kind of separates us from reality. Sometimes we can kind of turn the internet off, turn off the TV and the outside noise, and just focus on astronomy in the sky. And I think that's a pretty powerful experience for sure. Bad for business, but great for your mental well-being. I think just being out there amongst the stars. And
now, what is your name? Your mental well-being, you were saying, and I said, what is your name?
The what is it, Howard?
What is your name?
My name?
Yeah. You said it's good for your mental well-being.
Oh, yeah. See, I don't even know. I'm having trouble with this question. That's how that's an allegory for the year 2020 is I'm like, well, what do you mean? What is my name? Is it Joe? No. I don't understand the question. It's too simple. We have fun, and this is like what we do at Star Parties. We just goof off, and so we challenge y'all to join us. And if you don't, hey, at least we tried, right? At least we tried to get y'all out there with us, and we at least tried to convey how much fun it is. But we will be back next month with another live astronomy meeting from right here in Southeast Texas, and on the highways of Arizona there with Joe. Hopefully Joe will be back home by that time, a month from now, but we'll see. Thank y'all for tuning in with us from all over the world. We appreciate y'all. From another international audience night. It's fantastic. We really appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for sharing what we do here as a club and as astronomers in general. Again, follow at the Astro Joe for Joe Calif's work. He's right here below me in the square below. Howard doesn't have an Instagram, but we're working on him. We might get him. We might crack that egg one day. We'll see. But you can follow me at Deep Sky Dude, which is right there if you want to. and I'm on YouTube and all the other everything. I'm on everything, all the socials for no reason. So you can find me all there. Jeffrey says, "Thank you all. Be safe." Thank you, Jeffrey. Rebecca Foster, good to see you, Rebecca, as a local member. Thank you for hanging out with us, and that's how we'll close it. So, from my desk here in Southeast Texas, guys, thank y'all for joining us. Thank you for hanging out with us. That was the November amateur astronomy meeting for the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. We'll be right back with next month on the second Friday or second weekend. Maybe, who knows? We'll move the meeting whenever we want to. We can all join each other whenever, right? But it'll be around that time in December, and we appreciate y'all. We will see y'all then. Until then, guys, clear skies. Y'all be good. Take care of yourselves and take care of someone else. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye, y'all.